Hello everyone, welcome to another video essay from us here at No Input. My name is Vanessa and today I'll be talking about the idea that filmmakers are nothing more than storytellers. Also, if you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on that notification bell. Let's get started. How do you define a filmmaker? Entertainers? Geniuses? Artists? Let me tell you that all filmmakers, regardless of what type of film they make, are storytellers at their core. Every film that is made, no matter the genre, is a story. Even an experimental film with no coherent plot is a story. Just ask the people who made it, and they'll tell you that it's a message, which in most cases will be a story or a struggle of some sort. But how did we get here? Why are we storytellers? Well, think about it this way. Films are simply visual versions of books and plays. Every book, both non-fiction and fiction, tells a story of some sort. For example, a biology textbook will tell you what makes up an organism, or how things grow. A mathematics textbook is also a story. Just imagine that the formulas are plots, and each number and symbol in that formula is a paragraph or word. They may not be fictitious or exciting, but they are still stories in their own right. Any process that is explained is a story. The same goes for plays, both in written form and those performed on a stage. In fact, you can call them parents of filmmaking since that's where film comes from. Instead of performing every day to an audience, an actor performs in front of a camera just once, or a few times depending on how many mistakes they make, and the audience watches it on their screens, whenever they please. Okay. We're veering off topic here, but the essence is the same. Plays are in fact stories in and of themselves, since they are performances that either reconstructs a piece of history, or is a fictitious series of events that the playwright has created. Just take a look at Shakespeare and his many works. Poetic as they may be, they are still stories about characters that either represent historical figures, like the royal families of England, or fictional characters born of myth and legend. Of course, these plays were created at the same time as books, and perhaps even predates them, since they've been around for many centuries and millennia, ever since the birth of culture and civilization. It is in that same manner which films are made, and I mean all genres of film. Where plays must be performed on a theatre stage, films can be made anywhere, and because of that, the story that we're told is enhanced and seems almost real. This realism is what makes films such great storytellers. It is through the use of real locations and those created through animation that we as an audience connect with the story. It is through the actors' performances that we can identify characters, personalities, and even motives that we mostly associate with stories, and it is through their dialogue that we know exactly what is happening. In any case, filmmakers are telling us a story just as playwrights did in time immemorial. However, there are some stories that are a little harder to define. Like a documentary. It isn't always easy to spot the story, but there is always a timeline, and in that timeline is the story. It is the history of the subject, and it is precisely that history that makes up the story. So, for example, if you've ever watched David Attenborough's Blue Planet or Planet Earth, you'll find that most of his explanations of how creatures on Earth live is in story form. He explains the daily ins and outs of an animal or two and captures our imagination through telling the story of one particular individual in one particular species at a time. Do you see what I mean? There are other documentaries out there, of course, like ones about different cultures or ones about social issues. These are still very much stories because they're not only giving an exposition of an aspect of society, they also give you a history of it, wherein lies the story. So, for example, the very apt title The Story of India is a documentary by MacLeod for the BBC. It is a 6-part documentary, but as the title explains, it's about the history and culture of India, and how their history echoes down even now to the modern day. It's a very interesting watch, and as a side note, I would highly recommend it to anyone who is interested in the history and culture of a society that dominates 1/3 of our planet's population. So, to sum it all up, Remember that when you're watching a film or even a TV show, you're not only watching a random series of events on your screen, you're watching a story. Even those that seem so abstract that it isn't possible to actually define a story, there is a message there somewhere, and in that message there is a story. Thank you for listening, and leave a comment down below if you agree that films are stories. And keep tuned for more content from us here at No Input. Bye!